We're gonna go to Luke. What's up, Luke?
Cool. Alex, I've been wanting to talk to you for a long time.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Well, I'm not Protestant. I've never been Protestant, so I'm
Okay.
better than you in that way. You were Protestant, not me.
Cool.
Never
What's
been
up?
Protestant, but never been Catholic or Orthodox. Never been
Okay.
part of any church. But I have a weird background. I grew up reading the church fathers. My parents would read them to me as a kid, and I had tremendous respect for them. My parents told me all the churches are heretical and that the early church was the only true church. They're talking like first 3 centuries. And as I got older, I started reading them for myself. I'm 29 now. I've been reading them for about 10 years. And I see the early church unanimously condemning, not just consensus, but even unanimous, condemning a lot of teachings in the Orthodox and Catholic churches. And that's why I'm not part of them.
Like what?
Ask you some questions about that.
Yeah.
Well, you already know about icon veneration, but how about
they did that in the Old Testament. I don't know why that's controversial.
Who did? Who was bowing
The Israelites
down to
always
in the Old
used
Testament?
symbols to connect the material to the material.
Well, let's define terms here. Veneration, that would be like bowing down to things, right, and offering them incense.
Yeah, so like in the Psalms, you see that the people of Israel are bowing down to the tabernacle, to the temple frequently.
I see, but that's not an image.
It is.
I see the tabernacle's an image.
Yes, it says in Hebrews 8 that it's a sketch of the heavenly things.
Okay. Let's say that God did tell them to bow down to images in the Old Testament. You know, Alex, even if you could prove that, which you'd have to go a long way to do that, that still wouldn't prove that
it says it on its face in the Bible.
I see. All right. Well, I've got a lot of questions to ask you. And I know that the Old Testament thing is always thrown out. It's the first thing because they can't quote any church fathers. So they've got to go to the Jews. But the Jews, of course, even that's flimsy.
Well, uncontroversial things were not talked about. Again, like it's not like the Roman Catholic Church today where the early church was just like declaring dogmas, right? It's a dispute resolution mechanism like a court. So whenever they have a problem, that's when they go to a council and a dogma is declared, just like you see in Acts 15.
Well, they declared a lot of things dogmatically in the first 3 centuries. Are you telling me there were no dogmas in the church for the first 3 centuries?
That's not what I said at all.
Okay, so there were
dogmas. Can you restate what I did say?
Yes. Well, it is a kind of, like this.
What did I say?
Yeah, you're saying that they only there's some things they'll only discuss if there's a dispute about it. But
that's what councils are for. Yes, they're to solve disputes.
But the problem is it's not silence on icons, Alex. It's nonstop bashing.
Are you going to bring up like Elvira?
No, it's all the church fathers, all of them. Have you read Melito of Sardis or Justin Martyr or Irenaeus?
What do you mean by an image?
A picture of a person.
Where?
What do you mean? Where? Do you want me to give you quotes?
Well, where did they worship images?
Well, the pagans were doing it and the Christians are bashing it.
Okay, when you walk into a pagan temple, where is the image that you like? Literally the geographic location. Like, where is it?
In the center of the room?
No. Where is it?
I don't know what this has to do with the point that they say you're not allowed to bow down.
Because you have icons that are honored and sacred objects that are honored, but they're not worshipped. So if you go into a pagan temple and you go like wherever the altar is, which is typically not in the center, it can be like in the back. That's where you see the image that is worshipped. That has nothing to do with the holy images on the walls of that temple. This is for pagan places. This is for the tabernacle. This is for the temple. This is Alex, when they're talking about worshiping images, it's a very specific thing in the ancient world. It's not some like modern conception of
what
you
is
have
worship?
a picture.
What
in
is
the
worship?
highest sense, it's offering a sacrifice, which no Protestants do.
Now, in the second commandment, you remember
restorationists.
In the second commandment, God didn't just say sacrifice, though. He said, "You shall neither bow down nor serve."
As God.
Well, does he say as God? Does he say you can bow down?
Yes, in the first commandment.
So just to make sure I understand, you're saying you could bow down to maybe a pagan image, and that would not be considered worship unless you like said in your mind it's God?
No, that would be improper because it's a pagan image.
Okay, but not necessarily pagan. You know that Buddhists and Hindus bow down to images of their ancestors. Do you think that's worship?
I don't think it's worship, no.
So they're allowed to do that. That's not a sin.
I mean, in the same way that like kissing an image of an ancestor is just like you miss them and you respect them and you love them.
So you can bow down to images of your ancestors. That is not forbidden. If you saw a Buddhist or a Hindu doing that, you're saying that is not a sin.
Well, no, because
a Buddhist or
the
a
intent
Hindu,
of a Buddhist and a Hindu is different. Yeah. It's not like a generic like Confucian idea of honor your ancestors because it's good to honor them, right?
I was going to say, now you're in Nikolai's wheelhouse. You're talking about Eastern religions.
Well, they don't necessarily say that those people are gods. They're just showing respect to their ancestors, like you guys are talking about. So what about offering them incense?
But in the Christian sense that they are representatives of Christ and images of Christ.
What about burning incense before them? Is that also pagan?
You see that in the Old Testament.
But I'm talking about the images of ancestors.
Well, again, we're talking about when you add in the ritual.
Do you want us to defend Hindu religion? Is that what you're trying to do?
Are you denouncing it or defending it? You're saying bowing down to the images.
I denounce Hinduism and Buddhism. Yes, this is not a controversial.
We're talking about intent. So it could be that some people are not intending to worship or do that, right?
We believe in Orthodox Christianity. We defend that position.
You're saying you're not trying to worship or do that. It's a lot of vague terms, guys, because you're saying it's not worship, but God specifically.
How do you worship? How do you worship?
Worship is defined.
You don't have any worship.
You don't know that. You're making.
Well, you're not Orthodox Christian, so I know you're not. Because if you were some other ancient church and you had the Eucharist, that's not valid. And if you are just singing songs, that's not worship either.
Well, you guys do offer sacrifices to your images. Want me to prove it to you? Yeah,
sure.
Please prove it to me.
Well, God says in the scriptures, He says, "You shall neither bow down." That's proskuneo. You do that one, and then you do the second one where He says, "Nor serve." That's latria. Do you know what the main? Do you know what the main act of latria was throughout the Old Testament and throughout all of history was?
What was
do you know? Do you know?
What? I'm not going to make your argument for you. You can go ahead and make your argument.
Well, you guys are the idolatry experts. I would expect you to be able to say, "Yeah, I know what that is." But it's
okay. Come on, enough with make your argument. Enough with the passive aggressive. Make your argument.
It is offering incense. That is the principal act of denying Christ that a person
we
would be
offer
asked
incense
to do.
To God.
They would be asked to offer incense in front of the image of an emperor in order to deny Christ for those first 3 centuries. So they didn't have to do anything else. They could bow, or they could just drop a little bit of incense there. And they said, "You've done latria."
Hey, where did the Old Testament? Where did the Jews have their altar of incense?
Well, we're talking about doing this for images, guys.
Well, so it's right in front of an image of what?
They're not offering incense to the cherubim. Do you think
right in front of the cherubim?
Do you believe they're offering it to the cherubim, Alex?
They're offering it to God through the cherubim.
So it's going
the
to the cherubim.
Same thing that
You're
we do.
telling me incense is being offered to the cherubim.
What does it say in Revelation that the cherubim do with the incense, Luke?
So you do believe that? Can you just
what does it say in Revelation 8 about the cherubim and what they do with the incense?
They offer the prayers to God. So you were saying yes.
Ah, okay. Wow. So that's our position. Interesting.
Okay. So yes, you do offer incense to the cherubim, or you think that that's what they were doing?
We offer it to God through the saints. They take our prayers to God in the same way that the cherubim in the Old Testament took the prayers to God. We offer incense to God.
I see.
Yeah, the incense is for God. It's not
it's
not for the wood paint.
Huh? When you bow as well, are you bowing to the cherubim? Is that another thing you're doing?
So when I bow to my grandfather, or my wife bows to her grandfather or her grandmother or any of the older generation here in Korea, she's worshiping them. Is that your position?
Well, everybody in Korea is an idolater. They all have idolatrous religions.
Everybody in Korea is an idolater.
Yeah, all of them in Japan and Korea. Yes,
you realize it's like a very Christian country and evangelical as well.
Korea's like a 33% Christian. Bro.
Historically, they've always been idolatrous, and you're referring to an act that they've been doing for long before they became Christian.
No. We did it in Europe, in Byzantium, in Jewish culture. Bowing to people is common through every culture on earth. You bow to the people before you. You honor them. You kiss their hand. You kiss their cheek. We do that to kings.
That's good. I agree with that. I don't think that's a sin, but you always shift it.
You just said it was.
You shift it to doing this to images. You're saying you do it to people, so it's okay to do it to images.
Let me ask you this. Ask you this. When I write the word Jesus Christ on a whiteboard, is that an image of Jesus?
No, that's such a dumb argument. I know the Orthodox say that letters are images. Everything's images.
They are.
Everything's images.
By definition, they are an image.
Aren't they?
An image means a copy of something, guys. An image means a copy of something. So I don't know
wait.
So is a drawing a copy?
Photography is now idolatry. Photography is now.
Well, specifically, idolatry, that means worshiping a form. Idol means a form. Latreia means serving it. So if you're doing
We're
service,
not worshiping any of that. So what's your
I have a
point?
question for Alex. Alex, I got a question for you.
Bet. All right.
Okay. So we agree Protestants are dumb when they say it's a sin to bow down to a person. I already know that. You're not talking to a Protestant here. I know that you can bow down to people. There's no
you're
sin
not
in
in
that.
any church.
All right. Well, let's stick to one topic at a time. We can discuss that. Look, I'll join your church, Alex. I will join the Orthodox Church. I'd love to join the Orthodox Church.
Hey, I
would listen. I would love to, but I've got to get past the objections. And
Sure.
just saying you're not part of a church, it doesn't help me join your church any faster. I've got to have these things.
I mean,
hearing
it's
the
a big
say.
problem, I think. But
well, I've read all the fathers, and they all say that bowing to
all of
You've read all the fathers,
okay.
all the Ante-Nicene, and all the big boys. So it's at a certain point, I start to call them grandkids. You guys would call people born yesterday a church father. I wouldn't. But here's my question for you, Alex. So if it's not a sin to bow down to people, we all agree on that. I know that. Duh. I also don't think it's a sin to bow down to a king. You have lots of bowing to kings in the Old Testament, like bowing down to David, and Esther bows down to big boy Artaxerxes. And in some Jewish traditions, you know, they're against bowing down to idols, and yet they say Joseph bowed down to Pharaoh. Pharaoh's not even he doesn't even believe in one God, and yet they considered it a lawful show of respect to give to Pharaoh. So here's my question for you, Alex. You ready?
Here it comes.
What was the sin in bowing down to King Nebuchadnezzar's statue? What specifically was the sin in? If the honor paid to the image passes to the prototype, and there's nothing wrong with bowing down to King Nebuchadnezzar, why can't you bow down to his image?
Because it's a pagan image.
What does that mean?
He's not a saint, dude, in the church. He's
wait a second.
demonized king.
Wait a second. You just said that you can bow down to Nebuchadnezzar. You could bow down to those other kings. Everybody did. Daniel had no problem with bowing down to Nebuchadnezzar. So what's wrong with bowing to his image if the honor paid to the image?
Because of the intent. The intent Nebuchadnezzar built that image was for sacrifice.
I see. So here's a hypothetical. I knew you'd say that. So here's a hypothetical. What if Nebuchadnezzar had said, guys, I'm not a god. I'm just making an image, just like, all the kings do. They make an image.
Then the intent changes.
I mean, what about when Nebuchadnezzar offered sacrifices to Daniel, like a few verses later?
Earlier,
I mean,
yeah.
It seems like the state of your heart matters, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Or was Daniel also an idolater according to your standards?
Was Daniel an idolater? He didn't offer the sacrifice.
I'm asking you, according to your standards, he received worship from Nebuchadnezzar. Does that make...
No, he didn't.
That's what it says explicitly.
Have you ever read the Church Fathers? Hey, Nikolai, Alex, you're on stream. Say it to your audience. Have you read any Church Father commentary on Nebuchadnezzar offering incense to Daniel? And have you seen what the Church Fathers say?
Hey, I'm interested in what the Bible says, buddy. So what does the Bible say? Oh, is that what I said? Hey, you think this is your stream? What did I just say? Can you repeat what I just said back?
You said, I'm a Protestant and I go by the Bible, not the Church Fathers. Isn't that what I'm sorry, I must be hard of hearing.
No.
Look, what does it say in the Bible about Daniel and the worship of Nebuchadnezzar?
It doesn't say he received it. It doesn't.
What does it say? What does it say?
He says, keep your gifts. That's what he says to King Nebuchadnezzar's son. And that's what John Chrysostom thinks he said to King Nebuchadnezzar. You want me to read it to you?
Well, we don't follow just one church father, dude.
I've got multiple. I can give you 3.
Great. Okay. So did Daniel accept the worship from Nebuchadnezzar?
He did not.
Okay.
Now, can you answer the question? What was the sin? If Nebuchadnezzar said, "I'm not a god," would it be a sin to bow down to his image?
Yeah, but even if, again, this gets away from the point. Your hypothetical doesn't work because
you're afraid of the hypothetical.
Yeah, no.
Look, we see a practice of bowing down to and reverencing holy images throughout the Old Testament. They bow down to the tabernacle, which is an image of the divine council and divine assembly, worshiping in heaven.
Alex,
well, no, you're ignoring everything that we just explained just for
intent.
Like, one pagan image. Of course, you don't bow down to pagan images, dude.
Guys, all of God's laws are based on principles. There's a principle behind here, okay? It can't be that, well, you go 1 inch and
you don't have access to any of those principles because you don't have the church, because you made up your own church.
Well, you represent the church's position. Can't you tell me?
I don't represent the church. I have a dispensation from my spiritual father to talk about dogmatics online.
Okay? Do you feel like you're qualified to answer this question that I'm asking you?
Do you feel like you're qualified to go start your own church, which is what you did?
You can't answer the question, Alex. Isn't this a place where you can answer
questions? So look, is this a cross-examination? You only ask me questions. You're not going to answer any of my questions? Or you're going to come onto my show and you're going to try to cross-examine me?
I'll answer. Yeah. It sounds like you're speechless, though. You can ask me a question if you're speechless.
Okay, well, what do you have to say about like all the worshiping in the Old Testament that always involved images and symbols?
There are so many things I could say in response to it, but God never told
anybody. You just gloss right over those because they don't help you.
I'll answer it. God never told anybody to bow down to any image in the Old Testament.
Okay, well, in the Psalms, when it says that I bow down to your holy temple, what is that?
Well, God's in the temple, so who is he bowing to?
What about the second temple?
God's in that temple too.
Not in the same way as the first temple.
How's it different?
Because freaking you have generals of the Romans and the Greeks walking into the Holy of Holies. Nothing happened to them. They didn't see anything there. They were just fine. God did not fill the second temple in the same way that the first temple was filled. You don't know this?
Okay, well,
it was like a huge problem for the Jews. That's why they needed to build a fence around the law, because God had not restored them yet to the land. You don't know this?
Well, this is quite an argument you've constructed, Alex. So when they're
why are they bowing to the temple when God's presence is not manifest there?
Well, don't they think God's presence is there?
Why would they think that? They think God's presence is everywhere, dude.
Well, the truth is, Alex, if they were wise, they would read the scriptures and they'd see God is everywhere.
They know God did not manifest his presence in a special way. Dude, are you really saying that?
Sounds like a personal problem, I'd say. It sounds like
for you, because they saw that God's presence was not manifest there in the same way that it was in the first temple. Now you're saying God's presence is everywhere. Oh, are you just dying of holiness everywhere you go? You realize how dumb that is?
Well, Luke, at the end of the day, you didn't respond.
That is such a cope.
Your hypothetical didn't respond meaningfully to what our position was, which you never answered to. We answered. You said Nebuchadnezzar. If Nebuchadnezzar built the statue and said, "Hey, bro, this isn't actually you don't need to sacrifice it. It's not. I don't believe I'm a god. It's just a depiction of me. So it'd be really nice if you could just like bow towards it or something like that to like show me some honor." The intent has changed, so the hypothetical
so it's not
doesn't
a sin.
work.
So you're saying it's not a sin.
If the intent changes, but that's a hypothetical that doesn't follow. It's from the earlier example, which is he was demanding what? Offerings and sacrifices to it.
I have news for you, Nikolai. I have news for you. In every single culture, every kingdom in the entire world, you have always been required to bow down to the king. And it would be capital punishment if you didn't. It doesn't matter what society, what culture you're talking about, you have to do that. So you're saying, well, he's requiring them to do it to the image, so that's worse. But you believe...
That's not what I said.
You believe
restate my argument.
You believe you owe the image the same honor and reverence that you owe the king, don't you? Isn't that what Basil says? Basil gives an analogy of honoring the king's image, doesn't he?
Okay, so let me ask you about Nebuchadnezzar then. When they're bowing to Nebuchadnezzar, does that include all the gods that he worships too?
No.
Really? Because is that what the Bible says?
My hypothetical is only talking about... I don't even know what your question is, Alex. What is your question?
When you're bowing down to the king, does that include the gods that he worships too?
You said when you're bowing down to the king.
Is Nebuchadnezzar in Daniel chapter 3, when Nebuchadnezzar is asking them to bow down to his statue, does that also include the gods that he serves?
Well, yeah, you could say yeah, that's fine.
Okay, well then obviously this is an act of idolatry, Luke. This is not the same thing as saluting the flag of the United States of America, which is like what the comparison that you're trying to make.
This
is totally different.
I have a
Go ahead, because this is a different fact that makes it not analogous, which this analogy that you're trying to strain shows that it's not applicable.
Alex, I came in here asking a question, which was, what is the sin in bowing to it? Now, certainly there are multiple sins.
Worshiping other gods.
Yes, but according to the church fathers, which you should read the commentary of the church fathers on this verse.
How do you know what I read or didn't read?
They give a different reason, Alex. They don't just say,
do you know what I read or didn't read?
Well, you can tell me.
Just because does the reason contradict? That's the question.
Okay. Guys, the church fathers give a different reason. So here is an introduction to what the church fathers say is the reason.
How do you know it's an introduction? How do you know it's an introduction?
Because you've never named it. You have never even represented the early.
So what? How do you know what I know? You don't know what I know.
Okay. Well, let me tell you what I know.
Yeah. So you're presumptuous and you're condescending because you don't actually have substance to your argument.
Let me read you a church father quote.
Where's all that humility that you guys are always talking about?
I'm nothing.
Hey, let me read you the Bible. It says the Jews will not bow down to your idol. They will not show proper respect to you, O king, because they don't serve your gods and they don't pay homage to the golden statue you have erected. Why don't they pay homage to the golden statue that he erected? I can
read you what the father said.
I'm showing you the Bible. Why don't they show homage to the statue that he erected?
Because they refuse to bow down to a lifeless image. That's what all the fathers say.
What does the Bible say? What does it say right here?
If you're a Protestant, that's fine. I'm a real Orthodox Christian.
You think Orthodox Christians don't believe the Bible? Hey, Luke, newsflash. When the Bible and the traditions of men are differing, which one do you go with?
So you're saying all the church fathers are wrong. John Chrysostom, all the guys.
Hold on. No, repeat what I just said.
You just said all the church fathers are wrong. Yeah, you said you're a Protestant. You go with your own interpretation of Scripture.
Okay, so you're not listening. You're here to trying to get a clip, and you got smoked like 20 times in a row, and now you're frustrated.
I got the clip, big boy. I got it. You are a Protestant.
What clip? Because you don't read the Bible. It says they don't serve. Yeah, so here you go. I know the Bible and follow the Bible better than you do. as an
The
Orthodox
scriptures-
Christian.
The scriptures
Okay,
tell you
Luke,
why.
Here,
I'm
the scriptures.
insisting.
Hey,
I'm
buddy.
insisting you listen. Your quote that you used of St. John Chrysostom doesn't contradict anything we said. It's just another reason they give.
Yeah, exactly. I could say that to you. You're giving an additional reason why you don't bow down to images, and it's because there are also false gods there. I'm telling you, there's still the reason you don't bow down to images, which is because they're lifeless. You're not allowed to bow down to lifeless images.
The image of the image that they're using specifically, they're referencing that specific image. They're not saying images generally. St. John Chrysostom believed in veneration of icons.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
Have you read his
Show me.
eulogy of
Yes.
Saint Meletius?
Yes, I know it like the back of my hand.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when it talks about like reflecting on his image
Never
and
bowing
invoking
down
him
to
in
it,
prayer,
never bowing down to or offering incense. Never.
what does it talk about when he's talking about they reverence his name and they name their children after his name? What does he
It's
say
not
to do with the
talking about
image?
bowing, which is what you're looking for, and it's not there. No bowing, no offering incense to his image. That didn't exist for the first 500
So wait,
years of church
You
history.
We're
think
allowed
that-
to
you think
bow to
that's-
living kings, but we're
Yes.
not allowed to bow to the saints of the church.
You've got it. You've got it. You're not allowed to bow down to their images. You got it, Nikolai. And do you know why? Have you ever read the church fathers to hear them say why we don't bow down to lifeless things?
They're not lifeless.
Then why do they bow down to the temple when God is not made manifest in it?
Well, I don't know about it. You're talking about something outside of the Bible. I'm unlearned. I'm totally ignorant, Alex, on this subject you're bringing up. Some weird.
Yes,
So
I
your
know. You've
condescending
demonstrated that.
attitude- Your condescending attitude.
Look, so
is
for the
not getting
listeners,
us anywhere.
this is what you get. Somebody calls into your show, they're rude to you, they try to cross-examine you. When you show that they actually don't know what they're talking about from the scriptures, they try to take certain church fathers out of context and try to use it against you. Look, you don't have a church, you don't have the scriptures. How do you even know these are scripture to begin with?
I'll join your church.
You made up your
if
own
you-
church.
If you will agree with the early church, I'll join
Well,
your
you're
church.
also arguing for a position, aren't you? Want me to join your position?
No. I mean,
No?
I would like you to
Then
stop
why
being
are
an
you
idolater.
arguing?
Well, sure. I don't want you to lie to people and say
What are
that
you
we're bowing to
arguing
Polycarp's
for?
bones. Nobody's
What are
bowing
you
to
arguing
Polycarp's
for?
bones.
What are you arguing for?
I don't know. You guys tell me. If you
What
can
are
help
you
me-
arguing for?
I'm arguing for obedience to the early church's teachings.
What
already
church
said
should I join?
Well, your church claims to be that early church. Are you
What
the same as
church?
that early church?
Holy cow, dude. Why do I have to beg you to tell me what church I should join?
I'm not telling you to join any church. I already
Then-
said that.
What
Then
are you
what's your
arguing for?
I'm begging for somebody to help me understand how
We
we can
did.
reconcile the early church's teaching with your church's
have.
teaching.
You see
And-
it in Old Testament worship, which is carried on through New Testament
So you-
worship, which you see in the catacombs, the exact same formulation.
So you're saying you can't find it in the church fathers?
What we did. What
you
did we
see
just
it in
say?
St. Dionysius the Areopagite.
Okay, is that the best thing you can
Also,
do, Alex?
you do see it in the church fathers. Where do you? It's actually so uncontroversial that the only type of worship that they have to mention is when an image is behind an altar. But you didn't even know that going into this.
So you have no church fathers. You have Dionysius, who is totally, from the
You,
500s.
you realize Saint John Damascene is the church father,
He's
right?
From the 500s. No, I don't consider him a church father. You're talking
Okay,
about the
but
biggest
you are
one.
wrong.
arbitrary.
He is universally considered a church father. You dummy.
But he condemns you.
You
guys.
don't even know what you're talking about.
He even condemns you guys.
Saint
So
John Damascene condemns icons.
He condemns your icons. Absolutely.
What icons?
Well, the Orthodox Church is notorious for making images of God the Father, and he says that's uttermost insanity and impiety. So you guys keep on
So,
developing it.
we're not
You have
infamous
no
for that.
idea what
those
you're
are-
talking
those are
about.
massive. First off, 90% of the ones that people point to are just the Ancient of Days, which is just Jesus, and then there are a few uncanonical, wrong-minded icons that go around from different eras and different times in history. But that doesn't mean that the church is giving a rubber stamp saying, "Oh yeah, this is allowable."
Yeah, so
Don't be ridiculous.
let's do some summation. So you had no answer to the tabernacle, no answer to the temple, no answer to the cherubim on the veil, no answer to the altar of incense, and how that's actually a continued practice in the church today. You have no church that you're arguing for. Why are you even here?
Well, I think that's a great response from you, Alex. You can't name any church fathers, not even Dionysius, the fake Dionysius.
Can you
says
respond
should
to
worship
what
images.
Can you repeat what I just said?
Yes, I will repeat what you said. You said we're Jews. We derive our practices from our speculation about what Jews did. Again, nothing from the church fathers, because the church fathers condemn what you guys teach.
Okay, you are bad faith and a liar. And
Well,
you're
you
literally
didn't
couldn't
church
repeat-
fathers.
Yeah,
Literally,
dude, this is
could-
I
we have-
have never
we have.
understood Sam Shamoon more than in these moments. You, my friend, are a son of Satan, and you
You've
need
never
to come
been
to
so
Christ,
frustrated,
and you need
have
to
you?
come to Christ Church.
You need to
First-
repent, dude. The way you're
I'm not
acting right now,
frustrated, dude. This is
ridiculous.
fun for me because you're humiliating yourself in front of however across platforms. I have 1,500 people watching live right now.
That's great. You wanted to make it more philosophical. Let's tone it down. Let's be
No,
philosophical.
I'm just going to the Bible, and you don't even know why the Jews and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, why they didn't bow down to the temple, which is because they don't serve Nebuchadnezzar's gods. I mean, not to the temple. Why they did to Nebuchadnezzar's idol?
You're not allowed to be a slave to a lifeless thing. Are you a slave to images?
Hey, what does this say right here? They don't serve your gods, right?
Yeah, lifeless gods.
What does that mean?
All throughout Scripture, they emphasize the fact that they're lifeless images.
Yeah.
All throughout Scripture.
We wouldn't disagree.
That's so what? Sin. It's not just what's depicted. Even an ancestor who's not a god, you're not allowed to bow down to it. That's what they all say.
Are the saints dead?
Even the ancestors. Well, you believe it's okay to even bow down to ancestors.
The saints are not lifeless, dude.
Hold on. Ancestors include living ancestors too, bro.
Okay, you believe it's not a sin to bow down to the images of completely separate ancestors who are not saints.
Bowing is not worship.
Bowing is not worship.
You guys always
worship is defined very clearly. Worship is defined very clearly as offering a sacrifice.
Okay, you keep on saying bowing is not worship, but worship is not a Greek word. Why don't we stick to the Greek words? God said, "You shall not bow down or serve." That's one of the things.
Okay, so there are different things. This is a word concept fallacy, right? So there are different things described using the same words sometimes, which is why the church said, "Hey, we're going to call this thing dulia, and we're going to call this thing
what's dulia?
latria."
What is dulia? Can you define
Veneration.
What is the Greek word dulia? What does that mean? What is a doulos?
This is again a word concept fallacy.
Do you know the definition of that word?
Oh my god, dude. Is this a spelling test?
It means slave. The Old Testament. It means slave.
Okay, God says, we're just going to use this word. Great. So the way we use that word is not as the word slave. Okay, the way we use it is as veneration. But you don't understand that you can use the same word to mean different things.
You're right. I did not know that. Will you explain it to me some more? Will you explain it to me some more, Alex? So in all throughout history for thousands of thousands of years.
I don't think it'll help. You seem like pretty thick-skulled on this one,
so
dude.
Dulia for thousands of years meant slavery. Like he says, I brought you out of the house of slavery. That's Dulia in the Old Testament.
Okay, so when you go to Canada and you see a magistrate and you reference them as your worship, does that mean you actually worship them, you dummy?
You're changing the subject. Are you a doulos? You're an
no,
slave.
because this is about word concept fallacies, dude. When you go to Canada and you stand in front of a magistrate and you call them your worship, are you saying that you worship them? Can you answer the question directly, please? Yes or no?
You're allowed to serve human beings, just not lifeless images.
Do you worship them when you call them your worship?
I don't know when you're saying worship means.
When you say your worship to a magistrate, are you worshiping them?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with calling somebody Lord or your worship or any of those things.
Okay, so you can use the same word and mean different things, you dummy. How do you not know this? You're so bad faith. Like, this is ridiculous.
Ad hominem, ad hominem. You're losing, so you're doing ad hom. I haven't done that yet.
The ad hominem would be if instead of an argument, I produced an insult. That was just the sparkling on top, the little sprinkles on top of my argument, because you don't realize that you can call somebody your worship and not worship them. You don't realize that the word dulia can mean something for a long time, and then somebody can say, okay, we're going to use it this way, and then they use it differently from that point on. How do you not realize that? This is utter sophistry. We can't even get to arguments because you don't understand basic fallacies.
You're an image slave, though. Would you confirm or deny? You are.
I deny that. Wait, why are you saying? Hold on. Why are you? Do you not understand that you can use the same word different ways?
So you're saying it has a different definition? When did the definition change?
How do we use it?
When we decided to use it differently.
What do we mean when we say the word dulia?
Yeah, what does that mean? When did the meaning of that word change?
Dude, you know what's great is now all of a sudden you want to go to the Bible for the term dulia, but you don't want to go to the Bible for why the Jews did not worship Nebuchadnezzar's idol. You see how inconsistent you are?
I know the Bible like the back of my hand. If you want me to show you all the scriptures.
Look at this pre-lest, utter pre-lest. Look at it. You know the scriptures like the back of your hand. You know the church fathers like the back of your hand.
Yeah.
Dude, I have demonstrated here definitively. You don't know jack all, dude. You don't even know why Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego did not worship Nebuchadnezzar's idol, which says right there in plain English, they don't serve your gods.
Mm-hmm. They
don't pay homage to the golden statue you have erected. You're trying to say that, oh, this is an icon. They're venerating the icon of the emperor. No, that is a call for them to worship Nebuchadnezzar's gods. It says it right there.
But Daniel elsewhere tells the king, when he says, why don't you worship my image of Bel? He says, the reason I don't worship it is because I do not worship images made with hands. So he gives an alternate reason, not just because it's a false god, but because it's lifeless. That's what I'm here to tell you today.
Is the tabernacle made with hands?
Isn't it an amazing thing when God had the temple made? It says you could not hear the sound of any.
Is the tabernacle made with hands? Yes or no? You have to answer questions here. You can't run, dude. You're like Forrest Gump. I swear, you might be worse than JP.
It's God in the temple, Alex. How can you be so dense? You're like,
what
I
about
worship you, God. I worship the temple.
What about the second temple?
So you're saying you don't worship God, you worship the temple.
What about the second temple?
I don't know about any of this. That's not in the Bible.
It says they went and worshipped in the temple.
Okay. What
about that includes bowing towards the temple, praying towards the temple.
What do you mean? They're worshiping the temple? They're worshiping God.
They're venerating, dude. They're venerating the temple by engaging with the temple.
Where does it say that?
In the Psalms, they bow towards the temple. By bowing towards the temple.
You're done with second temple. You've switched from second temple back to first temple where God is in the temple.
Are you telling me they didn't bow towards the second temple?
You're all over the place, Alex. You want to do a different
subject? I asked you a specific question. Are they bowing towards did they stop bowing towards the temple in the second temple period?
God's in it. Yeah.
Did they stop praying towards what direction did Daniel pray towards?
Toward the temple.
Oh,
yes,
no.
Because God is in it. You're like, I don't worship God, I worship the temple. And with the art, you're like, I don't worship you, God.
The same principle applies to icons. We're not worshiping the physical matter of the icon. We're not even venerating the physical matter of the icon either. We're venerating that which is depicted.
Hey, you realize the temple was not even present in Jerusalem during the time of Daniel? You don't even know that. You just said that he prayed towards the temple because God's presence was in the temple. There was no temple in Jerusalem at the time of Daniel.
I don't even know what direction he necessarily faced, but I know a spiritual person knows God is everywhere. He doesn't need to face he doesn't have to face a temple.
Okay, then why did he do it?
Why did Daniel face the temple?
Why did they do it? Why did David do it?
Why did he face the temple?
Yeah, if God's present everywhere, why did he face it?
Well, obviously David didn't really know how to worship God properly, as God tells him. He says, "What kind of house do you want to build for me? Heaven is my throne, the earth is my footstool. Why do you want to build a house for me?"
But he still did, didn't he?
Yeah, God led him, didn't he? But God didn't want to be worshipped that way.
If God didn't want to be worshipped that way, why did he allow it?
Why did he instruct the temple, and why did he instruct the tabernacle then?
To teach the stubborn, rebellious, childish, foolish Jews. He could only teach them through types. And you guys are going back to the types instead of the realities, because you guys again and again say we're Jews.
No, that's you.
You refuse to go to the New Testament.
You got rid of everything altogether. You don't have anything. You don't have a church.
Your beliefs is always the Jews. Why do you guys offer incense when the church didn't use
Because
incense?
We're in continuity with the Jews.
Malachi 1:11.
We are in continuity with the Old Testament. You are not. This is very simple.
No, hold on. Luke, what does Malachi 1:11 say?
I know it like the back of my hand.
Okay, then repeat it for me, please. I have it memorized.
We do offer incense, but it's spiritual incense. It is not physical anymore.
Where does it say spiritual incense in Malachi?
Read all the church fathers, Nikolai. Have you read the church fathers?
Yes, I have. Where does it say spiritual incense?
Asking, did you read all the church fathers is not an argument. We make arguments here.
The incense is the prayers of the saints. That is the essence.
No. I'm asking you, what does Malachi 1:11 say?
Well, it also says a sacrifice. You know that the species of the sacrifice is changing. Listen, Nicola, give me 1 second to speak. Look.
So you're moving.
No, I'm not.
You're moving topics.
Look, if you believe that the sacrifice.
What does Malachi 1:11 say? Tell me what it says so that we can break it down. You're not telling me what it says.
Yes, a pure sacrifice will be offered. Yes. It's not just incense. It's also a pure sacrifice. Do you believe the sacrifices remain exactly the same as they did in the Old Testament, or do you believe they changed in the New Testament?
They're fulfilled.
So they changed. They changed, didn't they?
What does this have to do?
So I'm saying also incense is spiritual incense.
Where does it say? Where does Christ? Where
does it say to stop offering incense?
Let me show you. I'll show you.
Where does it say to stop offering incense?
You mean like incense is an abomination to me? That's what God says. That's where he says it.
He also says that sacrifices are, if your heart is not right, they're like filthy rags. It doesn't say to stop giving sacrifices.
Do you give animal sacrifices if your heart is right now? Is that what you do?
No, we offer the fulfillment of all the animal sacrifices in the Eucharist, which you do not have.
There you go. And the incense is
there you go. What do you mean that works? That owns you, dude. You don't have the Eucharist. You don't have any sacrifices.
How do you know I don't?
When's the last time you partaken?
Because you're not Orthodox.
But again, guys, you're assuming a lot of things about me. You're assuming I don't have the Eucharist. You're assuming a lot of things.
But where? Okay, where?
I asked you, what church are you in? You can't even. You're not in a church because you won't tell me. You don't have one. You're not arguing for anything.
Yeah, as far as we're aware, until you tell us, we have to assume that you're a build your own church Protestant.
Like I said, guys, I love to believe in some big institution that preserves the writings of the early, or the teachings of the early church, but you guys are not it. And I'm
Do
giving
you
you a
think
chance
that?
to prove that.
You keep on
Well, I
saying
mean,
that.
you just say
but
it, but you have no argument for it. Do you think
you
that
denied
spiritual is? Do you
Dionysius,
think that
Corvus.
spiritual is the opposite of physical?
Spiritual can be the opposite of physical.
I'm pretty sure you just said that spiritual is the opposite of physical.
Well, yeah, in a lot of instances, yeah.
You are literally a Gnostic heretic.
Do you want me to read you John Chrysostom saying that?
You are okay. Spiritual is not the opposite
Can I
of
read you
physical.
John Chrysostom saying that?
Whatever he said, it doesn't mean what you mean when you say
See,
that.
I'm ready. I've got all the receipts. I'm ready to go. You don't want to see what I've got. You want me to post it in the chat here and you can read it?
Dude, go ahead. That's fine. But I mean, you don't belong to a church. You're not. What are you even fighting for?
Here we go. I'm gonna.
What are you fighting for?
I've got it right here. You ready to go?
What are you fighting for?
What are you fighting for? What does it matter? What's my response? It's not going to help anything if I give a response.
Okay,
to
let's say you're right about some things. Well, okay, hold on. For the sake of argument, I grant you everything. Great. What should I do?
First, we should start with what the church teaches. We should obey the early church's teachings. Don't you
What
agree?
is that?
Well, we can verify what the church taught from the beginning by reading their writings, can't we?
What is the church?
What do you mean? What is the church? The church is the body of Christ. The church authorities are the bishops that the apostles put in charge of the church.
Okay, none of them agree with none of them agree with starting your own church, which is what you believe.
Are you sure about that?
Dude, you're telling me they were for schism?
Look, I'm not going to say schism. Listen, let me give a real response to that, guys. Okay. During the Arian
were you not giving real responses at one point?
No. Well, when I said, are you sure about that? That wasn't a real response. That's my first not real response. Let me give you a real response.
Sure?
I don't mean that. I don't think that you should start your own church, guys. That's absolutely pre-lest. That's absolute heresy. I would never do that. I don't think.
Who is your bishop?
I don't think I can ordain a bishop or any of that.
Who is your bishop? Do you even have one?
And you can't have the Eucharist.
Like Ignatius says in his letter to the Romans when he's about to die, he says,
"Holy crap, dude! Do you have one?"
I was about to say, Ignatius says, Christ alone will be your bishop.
Oh my God, dude.
Yes, he says, Christ alone will be your bishop since I'm dead. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, we claim that Christ alone is our high priest. So there you go.
Well, I want to be under your bishop, though, guys. I'm not.
So you have no bishop.
I'd love to be under your bishop. Can I? If you want me to be in your church, all you have to do is prove that you agree with what the early church taught, Alex.
Okay, so the early church taught that you need a bishop, and that communion, like Saint Cyprian says, to actually be a part of the church is to be in communion with a priest who's in communion with a bishop who's in communion with all the rest of the bishops.
But you don't have that. But are you aware of the exceptions to that? I can tell you what they are.
What are they?
Well, let's talk about the biggest falling away in church history, the Arian
You're telling me you fall under an exception?
Yes.
Which exception do you fall under?
Well, hypothetically, if you guys are heretics,
no, not hypothetically. Not hypothetically. What exception do you fall under?
If you guys are heretics, which I believe you are, then I'm justified not being in your church.
On what basis can you make that decision?
Based on apostolic constitutions and Athanasius and others. And I can read them to you if you like.
Are you a bishop?
No, he doesn't say you need a bishop under that
Okay.
exception.
No, I asked you, are you a bishop?
No, of course
not. Okay,
not.
So you have no competence, you have no standing to make that decision.
Do you agree with Vincent that we should all be reading the church fathers to figure out which is the true church?
You have no bishop. You have no church. You're not arguing for anything. You don't even know why Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego did not bow down to the statue of Nebuchadnezzar. You didn't even know that images were used in Old and New Testament worship. You didn't even know that they bowed to the temple.
I'm not Jewish.
Like, let's just do a quick summation.
Again, I'm not a Jew enough. You're the big Jew. I'm the nothing Jew.
I mean, they're important because the oracles were revealed to the Jews. They have the oracles of God. We are in continuity. We're grafted in, right? So you're trying to put distance between yourself and Jews that actually undermines your case. You have no continuity.
Really? Can you read this quote I just posted?
No, you read your own quotes. I'm not going to make your argument for you. Who do you think you are? You're going to come into my stream and tell me to make your arguments for you. Dude, like, am I stupid?
But it's John Chrysostom. You're not against John Chrysostom, are you? Do you hate John Chrysostom?
I read the quote. It doesn't do any work for you. He doesn't say that the spirit and the physical.
Am I an idiot that like this person comes here to argue with me and I have to make your arguments for you?
He says incense no longer exists in the church. That's what he says, to summarize. He says we have the spiritual worship, not that carnal worship, like circumcision, animal sacrifices, or incense. That's what John Chrysostom says. You should read it.
I can guarantee you he didn't say any of those things because he didn't speak English.
He said incense no longer exists. Oh, you're like, we haven't translated it properly. Get on ChatGPT, big boy. Go translate it yourself.
You think ChatGPT is an adequate translation tool? You are an utter joke, dude. Are you out of your mind? You think... Get on
It's
ChatGPT,
your own
big boy.
translation.
You realize
Your own people
ChatGPT
translated it.
tailors responses to what you want?
Make a correct translation, Alex. Make a correct translation. If I didn't make the translation, your own people made
Okay,
the
so
translation.
do you believe what you're on board with what John Chrysostom teaches? Is that what you're telling me?
I am on board with the earliest unanimous consensus of the church. And they
Okay,
rejected
and
incense. And you can't refute
does
it.
Does he tell you to go leave the church?
Yes, he does. You want me to show you where? You want me to show you where? When John Chrysostom was about to be executed, do you know what he told his people?
You're telling me that John Chrysostom said schism is okay?
Yes, I'm going to tell you. You want me to show you?
He's
It's
also
from
trying
his
to convince us
dialogue.
that St. John Chrysostom, who has literally, we have recordings of him offering incense in the liturgy.
No,
He
you
was a
don't.
bishop
That's not
in
his
the liturgy.
liturgy. That's fake. Don't lie to people.
Okay, hold on. So we've
So
established
the
that
liturgy of
you
St.
are.
John Chrysostom is
It's
not.
not his. No, it's been added to over
Oh,
all the
wow,
centuries.
wow, wow.
Everyone knows
Okay,
that.
dude,
He
kick
didn't
this
even
guy. It's a
compose. He
freaking
didn't
joke.
even. John Chrysostom did
joke.
not even compose the anaphora of your current liturgy of John Chrysostom.
Where do you think we got it from? ChatGPT?
Guys, have you ever gone on like the Orthodox?
You use
Encyclopedia?
ChatGPT for your translations,
No,
dude.
this
Are
is
you
from
out of your mind?
This is from New Advent. This is from New Advent. I put.
Then why are you telling me to go to ChatGPT for a translation?
Because you said it's mistranslated. I said go make a better translation.
That's not what he said. He was saying that we don't just assume your interpretation of these translations, and we don't know the source of these translations. By the way, New Advent has a lot of errors because they use Roman Catholic presuppositions in their translations.
But they believe in incense, so they are for incense, and yet they can't
not
help
meaningfully.
I see. Have you guys ever read your own Encyclopedia of Orthodoxy, the Encyclopedia of Greek Orthodoxy, which says incense didn't exist in the church for the first 500 years? You ever read that?
Great. Is that a binding document on us?
I love it that you just concede it. Well, I mean, it is.
Hey
You
there,
guys should
Luke.
take down the website. Take down.
Hey, Luke.
Oh, Michael. Michael's here. Pseudo-intellectual.
Why?
Hey,
What's
Luke.
with the personal insults? Dude, you're a guest on my panel. You're going to come on here and you're going to insult me. You're going to insult Nikolai and you're going to insult Michael.
Alex, I've gotten
He
great
did this, by
clips.
the way, Alex. He called into my channel the other day too, and he couldn't get past the Nebuchadnezzar analogy
because
he's
set on
stupid.
fire. He was
Well,
set on
because
fire.
it says like literally right there they didn't worship it because it would pass through to Nebuchadnezzar's gods.
So it would not have been a sin to bow down to him as long as there were no gods. Is that correct?
I mean, if you're just civically honoring, then yeah, you can salute the flag. Of course, you can have the president.
So if you're bowing down to it, there's no sin in it, as long as there are no other gods involved, and he's not claiming.
In the same way that Saint Basil, which is one of those church fathers that you claim that you follow, which you don't, because you're a liar, and you come on here to try to clip farm and make like stupid faces and like try to smile and flick your eyebrows at the camera like you're some playboy or something.
The truth is jubilant. The truth is
you look like a tomato, dude.
Okay,
I know. I get very red.
Michael,
I do. I get very
Michael has something I'm sure he wants to add to the conversation. So
yes,
I think out of due respect, Luke, maybe you should give him some respect and let him lay out his argument before you talk.
Hey, Luke. In the martyrdom of Polycarp, how does it describe the smell of Polycarp's bones?
He was a living sacrifice. We're supposed to offer our bodies as a living sacrifice. That's why it says they could smell it. But they didn't say they were offering literal incense. They said his living sacrifice smelled like incense.
Okay. But you realize that we're being given scent terms here that describe the quality of what his sacrifice actually sensorially smells like.
Yeah.
And that the word honorable is used to describe incense in that text, correct?
It symbolizes prayer. God created the symbol of prayer, but he also said it's going to cease.
Okay, well, symbols and realities, they can coexist, and that is a continual theme of the New Testament. So I don't see how pointing to the symbolic aspect indicates anything about the physical ceasing. And as I pointed out, we're being given sensory terms here that denote the quality of the scent of St. Polycarp's body. We're given other sensory terms related to it having the appearance of baked bread and looking like gold and silver. We're being given these sensory terms. So someone in the Ante-Nicene church didn't think that incense was evil and thought that it was appropriate to describe as something offered to God.
And you have failed magnificently to prove that we can offer incense in the New Testament.
That's just an assertion, dude. What's your argument?
We don't. Look, I just gave you Junker Sostum. Do you want me to just drop like 100?
What do you have to do? What do you have to? What do you have to? What do you have to say about what Michael just said? You have to be responsive. Okay?
All right, I will respond. I will respond. Okay, let's concede this idea that maybe we can offer incense in the New Testament. Okay, let's go with this hypothetical, Michael. In the Old Testament, did God say?
Can you please respond directly to what he just said?
I did. I think I did sufficiently.
You have to be responsive about the martyrdom of Polycarp. What do you have to say about that?
I think I was sufficient in my response. Yeah. Let me ask you something.
What is that? What? No. Hold on. Can you, Michael? Did he actually respond? What part was lacking in his response to what you said?
I'm kind of curious if he could zero in on the sensory terms that are used to describe St. Polycarp's sacrifice with me. Having the appearance of baked bread, resembling gold and silver, and then also smelling like honorable incense. Can you directly address the significance of the phrase honorable incense used to describe the sacrifice of himself offered up by this bishop?
Yes, he was a living sacrifice. That is honorable. Yeah, I agree with that. But
how does that relate to the ascription of sensory qualities?
Well, God teaches us
resembling incense.
God teaches us many things. He teaches us spiritual truths through physical realities. But there comes a point where you're actually supposed to be led up to the spiritual reality by the types.
Sure, completely agree.
Yeah, you don't have that, Luke.
And that's exactly what's going on in the case of St. Polycarp. And that's what continues in the Orthodox Church. So thank you for supporting our point.
Do you offer incense the same way as the Jews do?
No, of course not. And we don't offer the same way the pagans do either. We don't actually think that God needs incense or that it nourishes him in any manner. And we think incense does mean something distinct from the Old Covenant.
Do you remember that God killed Nadab and Abihu for offering him incense, which he had not commanded? It says he killed them because they offered incense, strange fire, which he had not commanded. Do you remember that? Why is it that you guys think you can offer just any kind of incense to God? You know you're not offering it the way the Jews did. So why do you think that would be acceptable to God? Do you know that God said that nobody except people from the tribe of Levi are allowed to recreate the compound of incense? Nobody, he said. And they're only...
That same kind of reasoning, it seems like that would really rule out the Eucharist as well. And
that didn't exist in the Old Testament.
Well,
neither did the priesthood according to the order of Melchizedek. They had a Levitical priesthood.
You lost, you got destroyed, and then you changed the subject. The Eucharist wasn't in the Old Testament.
What do you mean? You never answered the martyrdom of Polycarp incense
You're
argument.
Offering strange fire, guys. You're just like Nadab and Abihu.
Then why aren't we dropping dead, Luke?
You're offering strange fire. God does not accept any kind of incense, guys. Only the very specific kind he commanded. And
okay, you came in here saying that you actually listen to and obey the early church fathers. Now Michael is showing that in one of the earlier samples that we have incense, and you're just hand waving that away.
What sample? What sample? I didn't hear.
You just talked to him. Okay, Michael, would you please, restate how, there are all these sensory terms referring to incense and the martyrdom of Polycarp?
Yeah, so appearance of baked bread, his flesh seeming like gold and silver, which is then later on connected to the preciousness, venerableness of his relics that must be taken up. Mm-hmm. And then also the phrase honorable incense is used to describe the sensory quality of St. Polycarp's sacrifice. So, if you want to say that St. Polycarp is violating the law of God, or that the authors of the martyrdom of St. Polycarp are kind of imposing something, then
it's such a joke. It only deserves laughter.
Wait, why? What's your argument?
He's not.
Do you have any reason? What are your reasons? That's a conclusion. We deal with reasons here.
Yeah, he's not offering incense. It's not. Why? It's not in a liturgy. No.
How do you know that?
Wait, well,
it's not a liturgy, guys. And
synagogue worship and all of these commemorative days, they are analogous to the feast days in the Jewish system.
That's all you have. You just change the subject to feast days.
That shows that it's a liturgical commemoration. How do you not know this?
even
you
even
don't
so,
know
I
the
mean,
basics, Luke. Like this is
I'm-
like, dude.
Alex, I'm
Look
I'm
at
crushing
Gregory
you
Dix.
right now.
This is liturgy 101, dude. You don't know the basics. Why are you trying to debate this stuff?
Your own encyclopedia says it didn't exist in the first 300 years. And
Our encyclopedia is not a binding document, dude.
I see. What about all the church fathers? The unanimous teaching of the church fathers. Is that
Hey,
binding?
you know who doesn't have any documents? You,
Changed the
because you made
subject.
up your own
You changed the
church.
subject. You
Bro,
changed the subject.
you tried arguing that Saint John of Damascus doesn't believe in the veneration of icons as we do, and you also held that he doesn't use incense. Are
No,
you
I
serious
didn't.
with us?
No, I
Yes,
didn't.
you did.
I never said that. I never said
We
he
can go
didn't
back-
offer incense. It's only that he says you've reached uttermost insanity and impiety if you make images of the Father. So he wouldn't have communion with the Orthodox Church. Now, Alex, here's the reality. You are going to have big boy debates with me someday because I'm arising. Me and my friends, we're going to have big debates with you Orthodox. We're going to crush you with the consensus of the church fathers.
I mean, if it was anything similar to what you presented today, trust me, I'm not worried, dude. This was garbage.
But look, we didn't even get to quote the church fathers. We didn't even get to the other Paul. He's nothing. He's a total heretic.
Yeah,
just
he
a
got
pathetic
smoked.
Protestant.
Great. Nice.
He did. Oh, yes,
Yeah,
Alex.
he did.
You did. The Protestants do not know how to fight you guys. They don't know how to beat
Protestants don't know how to fight or beat you. You
But-
don't even
but
have a
people-
church.
People who are obedient to the church fathers, to their early
You
consensus,
don't. The
they'll
church
destroy
fathers
you.
disagree with you on every single thing, dude.
Alex, it's fine. You know, I've been waiting for you to kick me. You can kick me anytime you want, but you will be
I'm
debating
too
me.
kind, honestly.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you.
None
I
of
really
them.
appreciate it.
hey, Luke.
But you guys will be debating us. We are going to destroy you.
Great, Michael.
Hey, Luke. I'm waiting for a direct response here about the sensory quality of St. Polycarp's sacrifice and how it's described. And I'd be really curious, what kind of person in the early church who thought that incense was evil or not to be offered would describe incense as honorable? Can you explain that, please?
There are all kinds of types. We still look at the types in the Old Testament and we learn lessons from them. So a type isn't evil in itself. It's just if you offer the type when God has commanded that the types have ceased, now you're sinning.
Okay, but then you're saying that it was sinful, and then you're disagreeing with the Ante-Nicene Church, the authors of the martyrdom of Polycarp, as well as St. Polycarp himself. So what's with the
They never
Ante-Nicene
offered
Church
literal
label?
incense. They never offered literal incense. There's nothing wrong with the senses. I don't say senses are evil.
Dude, this is just a conclusion. What are your reasons? You're gonna.
I think that's great. No,
Father
Michael,
from hundreds of years later.
Michael, if you want to do the debate, that'd be cool too. Because if that's your best evidence, I mean, you're just
no. That would be the greatest favor we do to you ever. You're not.
That's
touching
great.
Michael
That's
Garden,
great. You're
dude.
going to see people leaving your church when they see you're not the only alternative to Protestantism.
What is your alternative?
Where's your bishop?
We can
Where's
tell.
your
We can
bishop?
have a debate about that. We can have a
Who's
debate.
Where's your
we?
priesthood?
Who's we?
Right?
Who's we?
According to Ignatius,
Who's
Christ
who's
alone.
we? Who's we?
All the people I know who are reading the Church Fathers, guys. It's a movement. Not all
who is
people are going
that?
to join the Orthodox.
Protestantism is a movement. You're just
Dude,
Protestants.
I know a guy who's a universalist. I know a guy who became a universalist because he read the Church Fathers and now he's a universalist. Does you agree with him?
No,
He
he's an
thinks that
idiot. He rejects the consensus of the Fathers. He's
what's the
picking-
consensus?
I already know what he's doing. He's taking something from like Tertullian, where Tertullian says, the vast majority of Christians, they
That's
don't know
not who
how
he
to
takes
explain.
it from.
Sure it is. Sure it is. I know all the
We
quotes
lost
that they use,
Michael.
but the consensus of the Fathers is, of course, that the Trinity, the Son is divine. Of course, the consensus destroys anybody. Nobody actually does that seriously.
That's
They
not
hate the
what.
Father.
That's no one. Hold on. No one argued about the divinity of the Son here. I said I know a guy who reads the Church Fathers who decided not to join the Orthodox Church, and he became a Universalist. That
Well,
has
Luke
nothing
is
to
a
do with.
yapper. He doesn't know how to
rejects.
actually
He rejects
respond
He rejects the
substantively.
consensus of the Fathers. He does.
Okay, what is the consensus of the Fathers? Where do we find it, and how do we know what that consensus is?
In their writings and by reading them.
How about a
Okay,
council?
No, it's called councils.
I agree with councils. Yes. Have you guys
Okay,
read Vincent of
Do you
Lawrence?
agree with
Have
the
you guys read-
councils? that
Which-
say- Hold on. You agree, Luke? You agree with the councils that say you must have a bishop? Where's your bishop?
I agree with the councils, and Vincent of Lawrence says the
What
unanimous
do they say about a
consensus.
bishop?
What do
Are you
the
gonna answer the
canons of the
question?
council
You gotta
say
let me
about
speak.
starting your own church, Luke?
You got to let me speak, guys.
What?
Vincent
Okay,
says,
here's a question. Here's a question. You're not going to be able to just say. You have to actually respond to our questions, Luke. Okay.
I asked a
Okay.
very specific question.
Yeah.
Where the canons of the church in the earliest councils say that you must have a bishop. Where's your bishop?
just Jesus right now, because I'm in an emergency situation.
Got it. You're a joke. Get out
That's
of here.
what Ignatius said.
I'm not even gonna talk to you anymore. You're nothing. Goodbye.
$5 from Mr. Funzerker. No one cares about Luke's gay clips. $5 from Pope Biscuit. This guy came in for a clip and just got clapped over and over again. It's somewhere between sad and slightly infuriating, but mostly funny.
He did it to me the other
$100
day.
from Patricia. Awesome. $100.
Hush money.
What's my bank account going to look like in the next 2 to 3 years? I need 7 figures. I need 7 figures.
Thank you very much.
That's amazing.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Oh yeah, here's one for Luke.